Hey everybody, David here, and welcome to the ASOG podcast. In this episode, Lucas and I sit down with Jaron Klaber, NAPA TRACS Regional Sales Manager for the Southeast and Southwest Divisions. We found Jaron very passionate about what NAPA TRACS can do for its customers, and he spent a decent amount of time dispelling misconceptions about TRACS, as well as answering many of the arguments out there against using it. Just like the previous episode, if you're a newer shop or you're considering switching your SMS, you don't want to skip this episode. Before we get into it, however, do Lucas and me a favor, please. Head on over to YouTube and type in ASOG. Once you see our channel, please hit that subscribe button. It would really help us out. Plus, you don't want to miss all our new content that we'll be putting out very soon. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast listening app, make sure that you have us set to automatically download the latest episode. And now, here we go.
Okay, give me a mic check.
Testing, 1, 2.
All right, that sounds pretty good.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Do I sound echoey? Are you doing that intentionally?
I've got an idea. Hang on just a second.
No, I'm fine.
No, hang on just a second. It won't take me just a second.
All right.
Y'all talk. I'll grab it.
Well, we're going to talk about Repair Link, which is the content.
Well, I've got a question. So are you from North Carolina?
No, hell no.
Okay. All right.
Carolina.
Lucas is,
I don't
right?
have Southern accent.
Okay. All right. So I just had so the 360 Payments, team. We went out last night before the pre-rally point, and we wanted to do a happy hour, right?
Okay.
So what we found out is in the state of North Carolina, apparently, you can't have happy hour. You can only have it. You're looking like, this is the reaction that I had, right?
Yeah.
He's like, well, we have our food happy hour, but we can, by law, only have 1 day a week, and it has to be the whole day that we have the drinks on special. And so
That is weird.
it immediately threw me for a loop. So
So where are you based out of?
so I live in Atlanta, Georgia,
Oh, okay.
but I grew up in the Midwest where
Yeah.
farm country.
Like everything's loosey-goosey.
Yeah. You can go to the Walgreens and buy, your liquor.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was a little interesting.
So I'm on the Kansas-Missouri border.
Okay.
I'm in Kansas City.
Okay,
in
yeah.
Missouri, Kansas, you can't buy alcohol on Sundays up to, I think, noon or something like that.
That's how Georgia is.
Yeah.
Yeah, noon.
Missouri? They've got stands, people selling liquor. They don't care. It's, wide open in Missouri. You do whatever you want.
Yeah, so I grew up in Illinois just on the other side of the
Sure.
river to Missouri, right?
Okay.
So
Where in Illinois?
So Carlisle, Illinois, very small,
Sure.
small town.
My wife grew up in Mattoon.
Oh.
I don't know if you're familiar. We lived in Collinsville, Illinois, which is on the other side of St. Louis.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We lived up and down Illinois. Yeah.
Yeah, so Mattoon. So I went to school at Eastern Illinois.
Okay.
Charleston.
So did my wife. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. The connection here.
Yeah. She graduated. She got her bachelor's and her master's degree out of Eastern Illinois. Yeah.
Not trying to date your wife, but what year did she graduate?
No.
She's probably not watching, right, or listening.
We hope not. We hope not.
I don't think she's listened to a single episode. She shared our 50th episode on her
Did
Facebook
she?
feed. Yeah.
She's such a sweetheart. She only shared it because of me.
I think she shared it because it was the 50th episode, but she doesn't know if I said anything political in there. Because she has to keep her things she needs to keep her Facebook feed very apolitical because of where she works. And I don't think she actually listened to the episode. Anyway, sorry, I got on a tangent. That's what I do.
That's hey, me too. This will be.
It was probably early 2003, 2004.
Okay.
I think she graduated in 2000. So 2004, she took an extra year because she changed her major. So it was, I think, 8 before she actually left with her master's. I think she graduated 6.
Okay, yeah. So I graduated in 2009. So we were
you were probably around the same time. Like she still remembers Tony Romo playing, and she's like, "Oh yeah, he used to walk around campus," and I'm like, "No crap."
Yeah, yeah. So my buddies were on the baseball team.
Okay,
and so they actually lived on 7th Street.
Okay, yeah.
At the house that Tony used to live at when he was a football player. So one of the years he came back for homecoming, he came over to their house.
Yeah.
Because he was like, yeah, show me around, so yeah. Eastern Illinois, cool. Tony Romo, Sean Payton, the New Orleans head coach.
Okay, sure, yeah. I didn't know he
Mike
was
Shanahan.
Really?
Yeah. And then if you remember, I don't think he's not a head coach anymore, but Brad Childress.
Okay, yeah.
Vikings head coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all from Eastern Illinois.
That's weird.
That is
so Eastern
crazy.
Illinois is in this like podunk little town.
Yeah,
it's like 7,000 people in this town until school goes in. Yeah, then it blows up.
Right.
I used to be a 911 dispatcher for Coles County, right? And yeah, I mean Friday nights and Saturday nights is where you wanted to be. Like you wanted to dispatch those 2 nights because it was just gunshots, fights the entire night. And you were just rocking and rolling. You're dispatching cops. They would load up with police officers. And it was just, I don't remember the name of the bars, but it was like the same 3 bars.
Marty's.
Like Marty's was one of them. There's one, I don't remember them. Anyway, so there were like certain parts of the city where fights would break out. And then the occasional gunshot. Because there were a lot of like students from all over, but they had a huge influx of people from Chicago. And they like to shoot each other in Chicago. So
apparently now more than ever.
More than ever, yes.
Yeah. A little bit of an uptick.
And so that would just make its way down to what is typically a sleepy farming town. And yeah, I mean, but that would always be excited, like gunshots, and like, and you hear the police officers, and these guys are usually like, they're not in shape. I mean, some of them were, but the ones that weren't, you hear them hopping, like, Seacom, I'm in the park, head north.
Well,
like,
I got to be honest with you. You've always heard these jokes. Diesel mechanics have good jokes, right? And it's things like, if your ambulance has a 6.4 power stroke in it, there's a good chance you're going to die, right? It's just going to happen. And if David Roman is your dispatcher, he's chasing the bouncing ball.
No, man. If you like it works with your ADD. Trust me. Because you've got
like hyper focused.
Hyper focused, but you only have to be hyper focused for about 15 seconds. Because you have to, you're on to the next thing. Because it like the information comes in, the police officer jumps on, he gives you the information, location, what's going on, you're typing it in, and then you're either disseminating the information or another phone call's coming or something else is going on or somebody's flashing or whatever. You had to legit keep track of like 6 to 8 boxes on your screen. And you had to know where your officers were, what they were doing. You had to make sure that you had sent out help if they needed help or if you thought they were going to need help. And as the information's coming in, you're actually reading through the Illinois State Police information. You're scrolling through, making sure that this person they just pulled over or this person that they're questioning doesn't have a warrant. So if they match, because you would just get the name, and 90% of the time it would just be their name and information, and then that's it, right? And you would just go back and tell them it was clear. But if it was a really common name, like, I don't know, like
Tom Smith.
They're typically like, Tom Smith maybe, but it was more like Juan Ramirez. So you would get a Juan Ramirez, fairly common name Juan, very common last name Ramirez, and there's 75,000 of them in California, and there's a few that have very serious warrants, and so all of a sudden. You get Juan Ramirez, and then there's like 15 pages of Juan Ramirez's that have outstanding warrants for aggravated assault, drug charges, murder, attempted murder, gun charges, whatever. And you had to make sure, does they match height, this, that, and the other? And if it was close enough, then you'd have to hit the warrant button and then you'd be like, weep, weep, weep. And you would name off the location that would swarm all the cops to that one location. And then, you find out that it's not them, but you don't know. So you have to use caution and make sure you send everybody out. Anyway, my point is it was fun dispatching in Charleston, Illinois. The rest of the time, it was just boring.
So I
traffic
think,
stops.
Since we're talking software, I think we're probably going to have to develop something for David, because they say that creatives are really prone to ADD. So I think for the podcast, I'm going to develop one of those little shape matching apps. So every few minutes to keep it recording, he has to drop it.
Just touch. Here's the square. Where's the circle?
It's exhilarating. It was fun. And there was this one officer who he was just doing it to be a dick, but he would get on the radio and he would rattle the information off as fast as he could say it. He was quick, and he would just that's it. And he did it to annoy the dispatchers, not me. I loved it. I loved that officer because I would just rattle it right back just as quick as he threw it at me, and I'm a fast typer, so I'd be like, and then I'd report back it was clear, or they have, suspended license, or this, that, and the other, or whatever. But it was all night, and that's what he did. He was a machine. And it's horrible that all he did was pull people over because he wasn't going to do anything productive. But that's all he would do is just all night pull people over. We need to talk about NAPA TRACS.
I wonder if my name ever went through that.
I'm sure it did.
That dispatch in Charleston, Illinois.
If you were hitting Marty's at 2 a.m, trust me.
There may have been a few of those instances.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah.
That is fantastic.
Good times. That
is fantastic.
Charleston, Illinois. You feel excluded?
So I've got a question. You first of all, tell us your name and who you are.
Yeah. So Jaron Klaber with NAPA TRACS, regional manager for the company. Been with NAPA for 12 years.
Really?
Yeah. Right after Eastern Illinois, I started with the company in the management training program. Worked on the parts side. Mm-hmm. Was a sales manager of a NAPA DC up in Minnesota. Yeah. And then about 5.5 years ago, I came over to the TRACS team.
Very cool. I saw Jason Rainey not last weekend, but weekend before last.
At Ratchet and Wrench.
Yeah. I got to see Jason, talk to him, had a really good chat with him. So I hear there's some really crazy things happening with NAPA TRACS.
Yeah. So, we've been around for 31, 32 years, right? The software has. And there's a lot of misconceptions out there. Sometimes when we're on the street, we hear, well, that's just another version of Mitchell. They built it for you. It's rebranded, NAPA TRACS, right? Mm-hmm. And that's couldn't be further from the truth. So we've developed the software in-house. We have our own developers. It's ours, right? But here recently, within the last 2 to 3 months, we've just launched our Enterprise 3.0 software. And like we were talking off air, a little bit before we started, it's really kind of revolutionized what we're doing as far as how we go to market. For many years, it was always, let's make it the best NAPA product. And so
what does that mean though? Like in what sense?
So, we were very staunch on letting others connect into our software.
Okay.
So, the NAPA Auto Care brand is, 17,000 strong now, the NAPA Auto Care centers. And, even some of those folks being our best customers, I get it, right? You need the opportunity to look and to purchase and connect to other vendors. Right. And so for many years, that was just lost on, kind of the people, the powers that be maybe. And now that's not the case. We've really opened up the software in 3.0. We now have connectivity through multiple catalogs. Of course, NAPA ProLink is still our flagship, for looking up the NAPA parts. But we just launched the Parts Tech catalog, which a lot of our competitors have
Parts
had.
Tech is awesome.
Parts Tech, yep. We still have Epicor. The cool feature that Epicor lets us do inside of TRACS is their Pro Job feature. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's if you've ever heard of how that kind of works.
No.
So we're still going to keep the Epicor around, right? So Parts Tech, back up a second. That's just included in every package, right? There's no additional fee, anything with that.
Sure.
The Epicor, since we pay a licensing fee to Epicor, we pass that licensing fee on. But what it allows you to do is, so it's not a can job where, you're putting LOF and, 5 quarts and a generic oil filter. It's actually VIN specific. So if I type in water pump for a 2015 Impala,
right,
it actually goes out, looks up, and says, this is all the labor that needs to be done.
Wow.
and then it goes out and looks at, these are all the parts you need for this job.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So
you know what's crazy? So this happened like 16. I have a friend who does software.
Yeah.
And I told him, I'm like, I didn't know that existed. I don't know how long that's been out, but I told him to build that. I'm like, this is the most frustrating thing because
I think we talked about that.
Yeah, when you first start out, especially when you're in a young shop, like you don't know there are certain parts of that job. Mm-hmm. You just don't know. And you hire on a service advisor, and now you know, but maybe you forget to tell them. And so they put a very simple ticket up and they think they've got everything on there. It's like, no. That needed bolts, these washers, these gaskets, these O-rings, like liquids, this, that, and the other. And you need to add time for all this because there's interference and this, that, and the other. So that ticket should be twice as what it is. And they just don't know. And I'm like, why is this not like?
Well, that's exactly right. And our national training manager, Ben Dexter, he does, live training every week for us. And when he shows pro jobs, he always says, my 9-year-old son can build a ticket for a water pump job. Mm-hmm. And so what I think Pro Jobs allows our shop owners to do is actually go out and hire maybe more sales-minded people at the service counter, right? They might not be the most tech savvy in the automotive industry, right? We can teach them that. But if you're a good salesperson and you've got the tools in front of you that say, hey, when I need to do this job, I need to quote X, Y, and Z, and it's all built and it's all done for you. Mm-hmm. I think that changes maybe how you look at how you hire a service writer and what you're looking for.
Well, it's a lot of shop owners, especially like the ones that listen to the podcast and stuff like that. They'll go out and they'll find a waitress. That's what they go after. So like because they can multitask and they've got a whole lot of stuff, but they still have to be friendly and personable and they got to sell quickly, right? Right. They got to build rapport and selling you food very, very quickly. So all those skills translate very well into being a service advisor. And so they'll go out and find a service advisor, but they know they're going to take a hit. Like this is going to be a learning curve because it takes years.
Yeah. And even with the pro jobs, right? It's still going to take time. Yeah. Because obviously then they still need to understand how to explain it to the customer.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. But, we've had a lot of shop owners that have good success with, going to a Quick Trip gas stations.
Yeah, some of those.
Well, yeah. So in your area, it's Kansas,
Quick
Missouri
Trip is the best thing ever.
Yeah,
yeah.
So last time we came to, I think it was last time. It wasn't the ASTE.
Where? What?
I flew when we went to Jasper.
That one time.
Oh yeah.
Was that ASTE?
Yeah, that was ASTE.
Okay, so I flew into Charlotte for a training with Jasper, and then I drove to Raleigh from Charlotte in my rental car, and the whole time I'm driving, I'm like, man, if I could just find a QT, I want a huge drink. I want some taquitos,
man. Yeah, the pepper jack one. Yeah.
I'm dying for a QT, and you're just seeing like these weird gas stations. You pull out, and it's a little rinky dink, and I'm like, no, I need a giant QT. And I don't know what it is. Their ice is just the best, and I'm like. And then, like, you're driving. I think it was an hour into my drive, and I saw like QT.
It's like the best day of your life. Best 10 minutes.
I was so happy. You have no idea. I'm like, yes, QT.
Well, yeah, and again, their whole motto is, greet the customer when you walk in, and you're never waiting, right? They'll jump over to another register.
They fly.
To get you checked out.
And it's just constant energy the entire time they're in there. Yeah. And the best ones, like it's always the manager because you see manager or assistant manager, they're just flying. Yeah. Just flying. Right. The whole transaction is just as quick as it can be.
So Epicor, Pro Jobs, Parts Tech, and then the other one we talked about, which I think piques a lot of interest, is Repair Link.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, so the connectivity obviously to the dealerships, right? And that's no subscription, just like if you were to use it online, right? So with Parts Tech and Repair Link, that's just included.
Charge the vendors.
Yeah, that's just included. Yeah, exactly. The vendors are paying the transaction fees. The other piece of Parts Tech that we have in the software is the Tire Connect piece.
Yeah.
All right. So that is a charge that you pay directly to Parts Tech through Tire Connect. You know, they're passing that information on, but So again, getting back to that revolutionizing kind of how we go to market, we've played well in tire shops, right? Before we had connectivity with Carroll Tire, which then became NTW, during the whole merger and all that stuff. So we've had connectivity there before, but for the most part, that was pretty, regionalized, right? Up in the Northwest, Carroll Tire, no one knew what that was.
Yeah.
And so we struggled sometimes going to tire shops. Well, now, if you know anything about tire software, right, it's the tire software companies that we run up against have a very good tire package.
Right.
But from the service counter standpoint, it's marginal at best, right? And I'm not, not all of them, but just the ones we run up against. So I really feel like now that we have the opportunity to display those tires, let the shop owners, look at them through Tire Connect, order them electronically, send it all through the system. Now that's another thing that we have going for us that 3, 4, 5 years ago, I wouldn't have thought we would be where we are with that.
What do you think changed?
I think as a company, there's been a lot of change at NAPA, as far as the NAPA headquarter team and things like that. And it's really more, I think, I hate to say out with the old and with the new, right? But we've got some aggressive, C-level executives that kind of oversee our group and they get it, right? They understand, like I said,
it's hella competitive out there. Yeah.
I mean, I told a shop owner the other day, I said, look, he said, I don't want to buy from other people. That's not my point of looking at Parts Tech. And I said, look, we want to give you the option. Like if we don't have it and that car is up on the bay, in the bay up on the lift, it's got to go.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate you saying you don't want to buy from other people, but we're telling you, like, we need to give you those choices.
Yeah.
Right. Your shop management software, whether it's NAPA TRACS, whoever,
right, you
need to have those choices, period. Right. And so we've kind of taken the stance where, our new kind of tagline, you'll see it on our display and everything now, brand new display we got built just for the show here. So
nice.
We'll unbox it together and see what it looks like. But we've taken this mantra of kind of, it's your shop, it's your choice.
Yeah.
Okay. So NAPA TRACS, in my opinion, any SMS is the most important tool in the shop.
Right.
It literally touches every customer, every vehicle that comes through, right? And so we've kind of tried to build TRACS as the hub. And then, we work with all these integration partners and they're kind of spokes, right? Coming off the hub. Mm-hmm. So we work with 360 payments, for digital vehicle inspection. We work with all of them. AutoServe, Auto Vitals, My Shop Manager, Bolt-On Technologies, for CRM, Kakui, MechanicNet, I think we still work with Demand Force. Yeah. My Shop Manager again does, it's the CRM too. So we've really taken that approach that, it is your shop, it's your choice. We are trying to focus on building the best shop management software, to run your day to day. And as of now, we're letting our third party vendors handle again, everything, some of the DVI stuff and things like that.
So that's a big deal. So let me ask you this tough question, right? Let's be real. It's going to be a tough question. How do you stay relevant when we've got all of these other, offerings like, your web-based browsers? How is it that
is yours cloud-based?
No. So ours is still installed on your network. Yep. Server client network. Yeah. Now, again, with the technology in the world that's out there today, right? We have lots of shop owners that are hosting it, on a server, and then certainly from there, putting it on their laptops and sitting in their hotel room, here at ASTE show and logging in and doing whatever they need to do. So, I think the corporate goal is to move to a cloud-based offering and to actually give your shop your choice. I think we'll have that dual offering. But that's really, it's funny because I had the conversation last night with somebody about one of the cloud-based softwares.
Right.
And it's I don't know what price point you put that at, right? Or how, everybody's different, right? So, a lot of our competitors are, and I hate selling on price, right? That's why, but, we still have a very competitive offering. We include Mitchell Pro Demand in every subscription, right? We bundle everything together. If you work with one of our vendor partners, you spend another $89, $100. Now you have your full suite of DVI, your texting, everything.
Right.
It's all still in one package, right? It's two-way integrated, and we're talking, $320 to $340 a month.
Right.
Right. And then if you want to host it, of course, obviously there's, some hosting fees if you do want it cloud-based. So that's kind of, again, I hate selling on price, right? But, when you look at some of the newer, competitors, right? Like you said, that are all cloud-based, and some other subscriptions you have to buy along with it, right? Like you have to buy your Pro Demand if you're using,
it can get expensive.
It can get expensive, right? Yeah. So, but what is that convenience of having it, on your tablet?
Right.
And that's the unknown for me, right? Yeah. Is that worth
well,
the extra?
They're willing to pay. Like I'm paying that now. I'm willing to pay. He's willing to pay.
Sure.
And then and that's that we were just talking with the two guys before here.
Yeah, Shop Boss.
So we were talking Shop Boss, and that was sort of the pitch we made to them, or at least that's the story that we were telling. Is I had a conversation with a shop owner, and that the benefits of having full access. You don't have to dick with a server. I've run those softwares before, and depending on the connection and the server speed, and this like it sometimes gets clunky, and and I was always freaked out about my hard drives going down.
Yeah, and then
you lose everything,
yeah.
And so you're paying for backups on top of that, and the guy was like, "Oh yeah, every night I got to back it up." Like, okay, well, I don't have to back up anything. Like, as soon as it goes through, every single computer, and I can have access to it anywhere. And then some shop management systems, I'm not sure if Trax does this, charges you by the.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, I had to pay an extra fee because I set up another computer. What are you talking about? And so the case I made to him was pay more for the convenience and not having to mess with it and just the ease of use.
Sure.
That'll free up your time, like making sure you run end of day and all that. Like I don't have to do any of that. And so just having that convenience there just frees up your time. One less thing to worry about. You can focus on more important things because he was interested in scaling the business.
Yeah.
And so,
well, as far as like the backup and stuff goes, right? So ours are all automatic now. Mm-hmm. Okay. So again, I know that's just one little piece, right?
Yeah.
But the backups are automatic, and we let you point it to 7 different locations, right? So a lot of our guys are just using even Google Drive, right, or Dropbox, or even a flash drive, right. And I tell them, hey, take it out, bring it home with you. Right, because if the shop burns down, that flash drive doesn't do anything for you. Exactly. Sitting in your shop.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to competing against that stuff, right? I look at it, and I don't like to talk ill of my competitors, right? But I'm going to defend my product. My product, right? I believe that from a reporting standpoint, from an inventory control standpoint, from pricing matrices, labor matrices, right? We do that stuff better than anybody. Okay, so when we talk about how we make money in our shops, and we need to be pricing our labor accordingly, we need to be matrixing it, we need to be doing all these different things, right? We do that better than anybody. So in my opinion, if we can do that, right? And I can show you, Lucas, as a shop owner, how much more money we can put in your pocket by the way we implement these best practices and use our software to do that, does that make it more attractive than being able to, access it off of www.shop.com, right?
Yeah, right.
And then the other thing we've ran into is when, because we all switch customers, right? Like, Shop Boss will gain one of ours, and then we'll gain one of theirs, and they'll switch and they'll come back and forth. The one thing I'll just warn, I guess, maybe listeners and viewers is when we have taken customers away from some of our cloud-based competitors,
They don't give up the
They've held the
information.
data hostage.
Yeah.
So that's what freaks out every shop you talk to, that like, because everybody will get on there and be like, oh, you got to go cloud-based, and the first thing they say is, I want to make sure I keep my data.
Yeah, because that's your business, right? You know, when you get ready to sell your business, right? You know, you need that data. You need that data. Now, if said guy wants to come in and keep running the same software, then it's no big deal.
Right.
But you know, with Trax, your data is your data.
Yeah.
Right. Big Brother's not peeking in on it. We're not scraping it. We're not doing any of that.
That's a big deal. He freaked out. Do you remember this a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Because they were the shop management system we have now got integrated. What's the company name? Full Throttle or something that? Yeah,
marketing company, right?
Well, they're a data aggregation company.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, and what they were doing, we're taking all your information, but we're anonymizing it when we're just looking at trends. And
they had 8 different terms of service, and each one said something different. And so they had all these different offerings. And long story short, the key that they offered was they provided dealerships. They also built websites for dealerships, right?
Yeah.
And what they would do is they would go around and they would begin to source and look for cars that had high mileage, that had been in a repair shop, that had certain conditions were met.
This is a conspiracy, by the way.
Yeah. And so
I love a good conspiracy.
Yeah. Well, certain conditions are met. And go look at their website. It's all over their website. And so this is Carfax. It's
all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you go look at it, and their key business, what they started with is providing dealers this information about the cars and the clients in the area.
So
and they said, well, wait, we anonymize it. Okay, tell me how you anonymize it.
Yeah, what information?
Tell me
it's very vague.
Yeah.
It's very vague. Yeah.
And nobody could ever...
Did you hook up to it?
No, I've still got it unhooked. And they
So I don't... So you can't like VIN...
Oh, VIN search still works. I don't know if that means that it's still hooked up.
Well, like the license plate thing. Like we don't type in the VIN.
That's what I'm saying.
We just hit Y.
I type in the license plate. And
that's Carfax. That's who's doing
I know, but I'm saying it's turned off in my.
Oh,
but it's
so I use Auto Shop Follow Up. Shout out to them; they're fantastic. Anyway, so
real quick, I'll jump in on that. Right. So in Trax, we have the plate, right?
Yeah.
Decoder as well. All we're using is the vehicle registration data. That is not powered by Carfax.
Wow.
Anybody that tells you from Carfax that they work with NAPA Auto Care or NAPA TRACS,
they're lying.
They're lying.
Gotcha.
And they will call our customers and they'll say, we work with, they'll call
sleazy.
Auto Care centers and then,
isn't that kind of sketchy though?
That's sketchy as hell. So I use Auto Shop Follow Up, and they use Full Throttle to integrate into on the back end and pull out my tickets and call my customers for the follow up. I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, just about everybody uses it. It makes me wonder, like, is it possible that they're assisting? And look, maybe you lose 1 or 2 clients, and right now it wouldn't matter because they can't get cars to sell in the first place.
Right.
Well, that's now, though, but a few years ago, they rocking and rolling.
Right. They could have been over here contacting your clients that met a specific, and they said, well,
it doesn't have to be direct either. All of a sudden they're getting spammed with brand new car.
And they say it's anonymized, but if they've got the VIN number, because that was the one piece that was still in it, is they still had the VIN number in it. Well, if they've got the VIN number, they can find.
Yeah, they can pull up anybody.
They've got everything.
Yeah. So that was the thing that freaked me out.
We're helping you out here.
Keep going. See, I mean, but it's funny because these are the same types of conversations, like you said, we have with a lot of customers.
It's legit. Like, I understand.
Yeah.
I try not to think about it because I'm very much like, I worry about that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I'm going, well, if I'm not marketing to them properly, then they're going to leave and this, that, and the other. And if I'm not taking care of them, it ends up being under my control. You talk about the circle of control all the time.
Right.
Is it circle of control or influence?
Circle of control.
Yeah. So it's in my control to keep them as customers, regardless of whether they get marketed heavily by dealerships. But you do get the occasional customer that's rolling in a 93 Jeep Wrangler. The thing is cherry, right? And the new V8 Renegade comes out, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, we're going to give you stupid money for your car to trade it in so you can pick up one of these cars here. All of a sudden, they're like, well, I thought I was going to get 7 for this Cherry Jeep 93 Jeep. I'm going to get 10 or 15.
Especially now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like
now,
now
I mean, they're just throwing stupid money out.
Stupid money. And all of a sudden, she's like, well, you know what? I'm going to go roll in my V8 Jeep Renegade.
Yeah, absolutely.
My rollover hazard.
That's it. You just got to wonder about it. And I mean, the thing is that if it happens so much, in other words, if it happens to one client, that's one thing. But if it happens nationwide to all of these clients, and then you lose them for 3, 4, 5, 6 years.
Yeah. The whole business model for the dealerships, keep them in the loop.
Yeah.
Sell them a car every 4 or 5 years. Like, you don't want to fix this 4 years old.
Yeah.
Go buy that new one.
Yeah. Big lighter of cars. What was it? The Focus?
What's that?
The big lighter of cars, the Ford Focus.
Big lighter of
ran out of butane. Get a new one.
Yeah, chuck it. Piece of crap, those cars there. But Chris Collins talks about that. He's a consultant. You see him online all the time.
I got his books actually.
Yeah,
my boss actually sent us his books.
Yeah, I've got them too, and he does that show with Jeremy O'Neill, and he talks about that too. Like the job of the service center is to take care of them and then run them right back into the sales department.
Yeah. And
you should be selling cars for your sales department. He tells you flat out, like if you're taking care of your customer and you're making sure that they don't leave for an independent, you put them right back in the sales department and they come right back to you and they never, ever leave.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. So, now the next thing about Trax, right? I've been thinking about this. We've been sitting here talking about data security and whatnot. So, I think one of my concerns would be as a shop owner, right? I handle most of the technology in my shop.
Sure.
Right. So now we're adding this networking aspect to it, right? We're bringing a level of IT to the shop. Now, in my case, it's not that big of a deal, right? I can do that. But it also means that takes my time. And if something goes wrong, something goes down, and I'm responsible for data security.
Sure.
Right. So that would always be one of my concerns. Now, some shops, I'm sure they go and hire somebody to handle that for them. What do you advocate? How do you handle that conversation when you get into?
Don't open sketchy emails.
I know, right?
Yeah. So as far as I'll start from initially, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So we go, we sell the software to a shop owner. One of the things that makes us unique is, we still have a in-person on the street sales force. Right. And we work for NAPA Auto Parts, right? That's the company we work for. So all of our guys, when they sell the software, get a new customer, they're actually on site for 1 to 2 days doing the data conversion, if there's a data conversion, installing the product, networking the computers, and then training all the people on the software, right? So that's the initial data networking setup, right? Now, to your point, if you lose connection, the client loses connection to this computer, this, that, or whatever, then it's either, they're calling their rep or they're calling our 800 support number, which is open 7 to 7, 6 days a week, based out of Atlanta, and they remote in and say, boom, here you go. Have a nice day. But as far as outside threats coming in, the way we would position that, like you said, is a local IT company, right? To set up, set up some security. Now, if you're a one man shop, that conversation's a little different, right? But we have, let's see, Woody's here in North Carolina. They have, I think, 15 locations now. They all run NAPA TRACS. So, they're all network, they're utilizing a VPN. They're all networked together. Obviously, a shop like that has their own IT.
Exactly.
Department helping them manage everything. But even our one shops, 2, 3 location shop guys, once we get it set up, it's pretty bulletproof, right? We always have problems and bugs and things like that.
Everybody does.
Yeah. But as far as, as long as you don't have something catastrophic happen in your network, it's a pretty secure and pretty stable environment.
Well, and that brings up a really important point, is because we see a lot of shops, and I think I notice it most when we start on the camera conversation, right? Because a lot of shops, all they have is Wi-Fi. They have no security protocol in place. They have nothing to protect the data they already have. And so what do? These guys go in, they buy a wireless router, and they come in and they plug it up and they plug it to the modem.
Set a good password.
Well, I know, but I'm saying, how do you, when even the computers in the shop are not on a LAN?
That's a problem, right? I mean, and
I feel it's not a problem. I just have a really good Wi-Fi password.
No, I'm not just talking about with data security. I'm saying, how do you, if you want to switch to TRACS or you want to work on this network?
But if you've got good Wi-Fi, it's no different than having a wired connection. Like it all works.
I'm with you, Lucas. I advocate for my shops
right
to be hardwired in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Be networked together.
Listen.
Be hardwired in.
My techs have phones. Like that's how we run everything off phones. Like everything's off a phone. And if the Wi-Fi goes down, but you're not going to have a hard connection. Everything is wireless in my shop. Everything.
Well, I've got hard connections on everything.
I know.
Right. We've got hard connections on everything because when you're, if you want to program a vehicle,
it's all wireless now.
Well, it is, but I still want.
I've never programmed anything wired other than a Land Rover, and only because it's a Land Rover, something's going to blow up, regardless of whether it's perfect. Huh?
Audi has those crazy latency requirements.
Yeah, good wireless.
Evidently,
I've got crazy speeds, dude. I mean, I'm not in the mountains; like I'm in a city with other people.
Thanks. Just go ahead and rub it in.
Well, that makes a big difference. Like that's why.
Depends it depends what part of Kansas, what part
you're out in the sticks.
Yeah, then you're talking.
We ain't in Kansas anymore, Dorothy.
Yeah, Dorothy. Yeah.
So I guess my point is that your platform relies on some wired network, right?
Yeah, I mean it works on a wireless network, right?
It's got to have internet.
Yeah. Now, so for the longest time, we didn't have to have any internet connection,
right? For
the software to work. Obviously, you're not going to get to the catalogs. You're not going to get to pro demand,
right?
The labor guide is actually stood up inside of the software, so you would still get to the labor guide, things like that. But when we went to enterprise, and we have all these third parties and all this other stuff we're doing now, and all these services checks. When you log in, it's trying to check all those services and pass them, right? And so it was requiring an internet connection. So now our customers are like, well, wait a second. I thought I didn't have to have internet to run the software. The next release that we're putting out, which we've been pretty consistently hitting our four releases every year for the last couple of years. That service check is going to, if something fails, it's still going to let you log in. But you're just going to get the message like, hey,
it's not connected.
You're not connected to the internet.
Right.
You can look at your repair orders, build your repair orders.
So you've designed this around your existing customer base, because you don't want to shock them. All of a sudden it's like, hey, you run everything on a touch screen. Go.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, what are you talking about?
So we actually have so we have two products, right? So again, TRACS been around 31, 32 years. Mm-hmm. Our TRACS legacy product was what was in shops for forever and ever, right? Yeah. In 2018, we kind of re-officially launched Enterprise, and that's really all we've been selling. So we're selling Enterprise. That's the product that's getting updated quarterly.
Okay. What does Dutch use?
I think he uses Legacy.
And we're trying to migrate all those legacy customers.
You hear that, Dutch? You got to get off your legacy program.
Yes. If you have a customer, is anybody that's listening here that's on legacy,
he's super paranoid about somebody coming in, getting this data, and he's got firewall, and he's got a guy with a gun and standing outside. He's got everything on lockdown, and
So if anyone that's listening that's on legacy, you can contact your local sales rep. You can contact, you can go to napatracs.com. Our inside sales number, email's up there. We're doing all these conversions remotely. We've actually built a DIY converter tool that you as a shop owner could do it by yourself. Mm-hmm. All it does is basically run checks and green checkbox, and then all of a sudden it starts converting the data behind the scene. and then you can go the next morning and start using it. Most of our shop owners aren't that comfortable doing that.
Right.
And so we're logging in remotely. We're running the DIY converter for them.
Right. And going through the process.
With them. But what's nice about the transition is, to your point, we didn't want to shock the users.
Yeah.
One of our competitors about 3 or 4 years ago changed their platform, and it was good for us because we got a lot of sales out of the deal.
Right.
Because it was a completely new look and interface.
Yeah. And just absolutely freaks them out. Nobody knows what to do.
Right.
And they're blindsided. So they're automatically looking at it from a negative perspective.
Yeah. And so, all of our buttons across the top, they're newer graphics, but, we start with, create a new estimate. Same thing in legacy and enterprise.
Yeah.
Our work in progress list, our scheduler, our customers, our vehicles, so from day one, you're not going to be freaked out.
Yeah.
When you open up the enterprise product, if you were on legacy.
Got it.
You're going to need to do some training, learn some of the new features.
Yourself up.
Bring yourself up. But yeah, that's a constant battle where, we lose customers to competitors right now because, they're still on the legacy platform. And then a shop boss or, a shop monkey come in and show them their platform. And they're like,
modern,
oh, this is night and day. Well, the reality is if they were on enterprise, they probably wouldn't, they probably would look at it and say, oh yeah, well, this is what I have right here as well.
Right.
So,
right. Well, and David's got it pulled up over here. I mean, it looks pretty neat. It's got
some cool stuff there. So the other thing too is I was grilling the shop box guy.
I know. I heard. I'm prepared. You shouldn't have let me in the room early.
free trial.
Yeah,
that was the biggest thing for me. Were you here for that?
Yeah.
I didn't want to sit it through a demo. I just want to get online. I want to play with it.
Yeah.
Is that available?
Two-part, yes and no. Yes and no. Yeah. No. So here's what we do, okay?
Uh-huh.
And it's funny because I heard his response when he talked about how many of their trials, no ROs are ever even created.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So our stance is, yes, 100% you can have a free trial. The only thing I ask from the shop owner is that you give me some time, and I know time's precious, and you've talked about that. But I just want to have a little bit of time to make sure that, some of the things are set up for you so that you can truly get the experience of the software.
Gotcha.
If I just drop the software on your lap and I haven't put in your NAPA account information, no ProLink, no parts tech, none of that stuff works.
Yeah.
Right. And you talked about, you don't need to figure out how to build an invoice, right? You want to see all the other stuff, right? If I don't set up your bays and your scheduler and things like that, it doesn't necessarily always work.
Oh crap! You gotta go.
Yep,
he's gotta go.
Okay,
y'all keep recording.
What's that?
Y'all can keep recording. I'll be back.
Well, we're about done anyway, but
okay, you got this.
What's that?
Nice.
I'm good.
Jaron.
Yeah, just hit that button.
Yeah, whenever you get done.
He's got to go do his speech. Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Thank you, Lucas.
Thank you.
Hey,
appreciate it.
You gonna have an issue if I'm not down there? Because I gotta go prep. No. Okay. I just make faces to distract you anyway. Sorry. Let's circle back around. So
does that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. But how long does that take?
Well, again, different strokes for different folks, right?
Sure.
If you're like, hey, look, man, I'm into technology. I can get this thing figured out.
Yeah.
That's fine. Right. And,
so your sales guys are known like, hey, if the guy's like, he's jumping around and he looks like he's got ADD, but he's like, yeah, I'll get this figured out. Just give me the information. I'll type it in there. I know where to put it in. It's like, okay, let him go.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll say that's not the norm for us, right? On how we sell the software.
I'm a weird guy. Sorry.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but, as we work with more progressive, owners that are
call me that.
that are more tech savvy, maybe,
okay,
right? Is that better?
I like that one better.
Yeah, tech savvy. We're just inclined to figure stuff out, right? Yeah. We're probably about the same, around the same age, Lucas, same thing. We just figure it out. You know, I can open any one of my competitors' software. I can figure out how to build a ticket.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, some of them are awful to deal with.
Yeah. I've done enough in the field where, you know, we've competitively changed them over that I maybe have a little leg up on, you know, because I can kind of see what's going on there. But yeah, I would say probably 80% of our sales team is brought in to do a demonstration.
Yeah.
Right. And that completely depends on the customer.
Yeah.
I mean, if you tell me, hey, look, you need to show me this in 30 minutes, then I'm going to show it to you in 30 minutes.
Sure.
But I've also been in those demos where they just won't end.
Yeah.
And it's because, not because of me.
Yeah.
It's, well, let me see this. Well, let me see this.
Yeah.
Well, let me see this.
Yeah.
And I'm more than happy to oblige and
Sure.
give the customer whatever they need. And I always tell my sales team that I said, you know, there's no black and white sales call, or there's no black and white demo.
Yeah.
Right. One of the things I think that helps us and makes us different than our competitors, going back to the fact that we still have an in-person sales team, we're able to go in, and when I sit down and meet with the shop owner, right, before we even talk software, I want to know about your business. I want to know.
That's good.
I want to know what your pain points are. I want you to walk me around. I want to see the operation. I want to see if there's anything, you know, because I get to go into, you know, before COVID, you know, I was in 200 shops a year.
Sure.
So I get to see best practices.
Yeah.
I don't own a shop, so I'm not a shop owner, but I get to see all these smart shop owners. I get to work with a great group of people, and I get to see what works. So when I go in and I try to teach my sales team the same thing, let's take that consultative approach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Figure out what they need.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going in and you're slinging features and benefits, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Right? You know, we have parts tech. Well, guess what? You know, Shop Monkey, I think, has Shop Monkey has parts tech. Yeah. Right? I mean, so
I don't know how many sales guys like are completely oblivious to what's already out there. I get this all the time. They'll come in, they're like, hey, so our software has this cool feature called Parts Tech. I'm like, dude, I've been using Parts Tech for years.
Right.
Like, come on.
Right.
But they come in, they think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and like, I don't know. I get frustrated with this.
Right. So you know, not to give all my secrets away, right? But you know, I've got to save them for when I write the book later on in life. But you know, I always pose the question to you as the shop owner, right? You know, if you ask somebody, do you like your shop management software? Well, most people are going to say yes, because it's kind of like calling your baby ugly. Yeah. Right. Like,
no. Trust me, I like it when I like to bitch, so I would have been bitching. I'm like, yeah.
Well, so here's the question I pose, right? Yeah. What does your current software not do that you wish it did?
Yeah.
Now that's an open-ended question, right? Now that lets me understand your business. And look, there's many times where I've gotten brought in and I've just told the shop owner, hey, what you've got going on right now,
it's a good fit for you.
It's a good fit for you.
Yeah.
I can't save you time. I can't make you more money.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we could tweak a few things here and there.
Yeah.
But you're rocking it. So keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, thanks for the time. And, you know,
that's cool though.
I'll go on down the road.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. It's especially some of the very, very new ones. Very new ones. You know, they think they've got it nailed and like, this is the best thing ever. And you're like, I told this, I was sitting through a demo with one of them and I get to the end and I'm like, you know, you guys are copying this other software, but yours is set up like it was 3 years ago. You guys are 3 years young, this software. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, that's the same thing. Like the layout's the same. Like the font's the same. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what you think you're pushing here, but it's nothing revolutionary. Like you haven't done anything for me here. I mean, good luck with it. If you get all these other things, maybe, you know, we'll talk, but I'm sorry. Like you guys are like late to the game with not enough.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, you know, that's a perfect example of obviously not really doing any, you know, questioning or consult, you know what I mean? You know, what's important to you?
Yeah.
What is your shop management software not doing that you wish it did? And then all of a sudden, if you say, you know what, you know, the biggest pain I have is X. And I'm like, wow, we do that really well.
Sure.
Okay. So my demo now is focused on what the customer needs, you know, and again, I hope my sales team is approaching it the same way.
Sure.
We have conversations all the time and training and coaching them through that. So that's I know we talked the whole free trial thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole kind of bringing it full circle. Certainly, there's individuals that want that, and we're able to provide that. But majority of the customers that we onboard are done in person via demonstration, and then
but that's what they want.
Yeah, but that's what they want. Yeah.
So if somebody's on TRACS Legacy, what is the cost going to look like to jump to Enterprise?
So we get that question all the time, of course, and it's really kind of a unique case, right? Because in our world, you might be on Legacy, but I might have signed you up Q4 2016 year-end promo, trying to make our sales number, and you got put in at a 20% discount.
Yeah,
and we don't mess with the prices. They are what they are.
Yeah.
Right. This year, full transparency, was the first time in the company's 31-year history that we implemented a small price increase. And that was because Mitchell, which is who we use for our repair information, passed on a price increase to us.
Yeah.
And so we simply
4%. Yeah.
$8 for most shops. $6 $8 $10 for most shops, right?
So unless you're sitting on some stupid deal that you just happen to get,
you're going to be the same
Legacy,
price.
You'll be at the same price.
You'll be at the same price.
I don't. Why wouldn't you?
Fear of change.
Well, yeah. So we have a friend. It's Dutch, and it's not even a fear of change. Like, he likes what he likes. He knows how to use it. His entire staff knows how to use it. Like, he's got to stick to Legacy.
And for him, it's like it's bulletproof, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, this stuff doesn't
break. It doesn't break. Yeah, it's old reliable.
It's old reliable. Yeah. And look, it gets the job done, right? So we actually just sent out a message via TRACS Legacy, encouraging customers to call our inside sales team and start the process to transition to.
So when you say offsite database hosting, I mean, are you putting it like on AWS and you're just essentially logging in?
Yeah.
So then it becomes how's that not cloud based?
It is, but it's not but it's
are
not.
Are you just changing the wording so you don't freak people out? Like
no. So it's if you want it to be.
Oh,
right?
So it's an option.
Yeah.
So
you're
you can
paying
host
for it. You're paying for it as a user.
Well, what's the dollar amount?
Well, it's again what Amazon Web Service, Microsoft Azure, your local IT company. You as the shop owner have the ability.
So you don't have anybody like specific that you use where you're like, oh, just flip the switch and all of a sudden it's offsite.
No, because we don't want to host the data. Right?
Okay.
We don't want to be in control of that.
Okay. So you just find a server.
Right.
And you say, hey, just send it there.
Send it there. Yep.
Well, then there you go.
I mean, so yeah.
So why would you worry about it at that point then?
We do. I mean, again, our software can be
quote unquote cloud based.
Quote unquote cloud based. Now it's not, right? There's two words in the cloud, right? You got like cloud based and then you got like, cloud application, right? Like, obviously you still can't go to a website and log in.
Yeah.
You're going to need TRACS on your laptop.
It has to be, the software has to be on the computer.
Yeah. But I mean.
But you can put it on your laptop.
Take it wherever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's options, right?
Yeah.
Going back to your shop, your choice,
Yeah.
There certainly are
sense,
options.
Though.
Yeah.
Well, just the
and that's where I get to the price thing, right?
Yeah.
So again, I hate selling price, but we build a whole package together and you've got to go, and then I say, well, hey, look, we've got this company that we've, now started to partner with. You can, they'll host your data. It's $40 a month or $50 a month or whatever that price point is. Then you're cloud based, right? And and you have the offerings that, that you need.
Sorry, I'm going through your list of stuff.
Yeah. That's good, man.
So you don't have the access to the Epicor on Legacy, but you do an Enterprise, which you do have to pay for Epicor. But you're telling me I'm not going to see a price increase if I've got the normal priced Legacy?
Epicor is a
tag on.
Is a tag on. Yes.
How much?
It's $59 a month.
That's not bad.
Yeah, and now that we've got Parts Tech on board, I think there may be some maybe some
The
negotiations with Epicor to try to say, hey, look,
But that job building feature that they put in Epicor, like Parts Tech is, it's fantastic. I love Parts Tech, right? And they just texted me and they want to get on the podcast. I don't have any spots, but
shout out to Parts Tech.
Yeah, shout out to Parts Tech.
Yeah, no, we're happy with
absolutely love Parts Tech. I thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread because it was Epicor without the price,
right?
Almost. Epicor just is a little slightly more developed. Like you still have to switch the tabs to see, and then sometimes it doesn't load right or whatever. There's always sometimes there's a connection problem, this, that, and the other. Sometimes the pricing isn't right, but they're like, hey, we're just extracting the information for it's whatever they send us. It's like, sorry.
Yeah.
But
we're in the
some of these some of these
yeah.
companies, they're like, no, we want you to go to our website. So everything's like 10% higher. And you're like, I don't care. I'm just marking it up and passing on. Like, I'm not going to your website. Like, I'll go to ProLink if I know I'm like, NAPA has this. I know they do. And it's not popping up on Parts Tech because I've got NAPA on Parts Tech.
Yeah.
So I'll go into ProLink and the other thing they just added this feature was before you couldn't see, because ProLink is very cool because you can see that some warehouse in Timbuktu happens to have two. And you can get that sucker shipped in. You're like, it's in the NAPA network. I can call my NAPA store and get it. So when it's a hard to find part, like you go to ProLink and they just added that in there where it says in network.
And Parts Tech.
Yeah, and Parts Tech.
Yeah.
Like, that's hella cool.
Yeah, so we worked with our multi-store owners. That was a big issue, right?
Yeah.
Because the way that it was set up, think about, the Walker Group here in North Carolina. I don't even know how many stores they have anymore. I think it's over 50 now, NAPA stores, right? The old way in Parts Tech, if you had 4 or 5 you could buy from, there would be 4 little NAPA, logos across the top, right? Yeah. And that just doesn't work.
No.
So we worked with some of our multi-store owners, the Parts Tech people, and we said, hey, look, this needs to be a priority. Mm-hmm. We need to get that in network showing in Parts Tech. And their last release that they just came out with, it's in there.
Yeah.
So,
fantastic.
Yeah. So that was really again, like you said, there's hiccups and stuff, you know, but that was really the big, that was the big pushing point for a lot of our NAPA store owners.
Sure.
Because, put yourself in their shoes. I'm going in to train like their sales team to go out and help promote my product. Mm-hmm. And then I'm talking about Parts Tech, which has all these other vendors in it.
Yeah.
So they're like, why would I advocate for Parts Tech versus, and
it comes down to relationships.
Well, when you're working with the great groups and our independent store owners like that we have, they get it.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes one of their salespeople, will be like, well, I'm not promoting that. Why would I want them to go buy from O'Reilly or from Advance? Back to our first conversation, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have the part, you need to source the part.
Sure.
And it needs to be easy.
Yeah.
And,
and like I said, it comes down to relationships because I got Factory Motor Parts, NAPA, Advance, CarQuest, WorldPack, AutoZone, O'Reilly, all on Parts Tech.
Yeah.
I buy from one vendor. I buy most of my stuff from one vendor. I need the part right now. They don't have it in stock. That's the only time you start looking because otherwise you want to stick to the one vendor. It's reliable, consistent. That's the biggest key. It's consistency and service. You know what you're getting. They're usually priced well. I like half the time I don't even worry about it because again, you just mark it up and sell it. The only time is if it's double the price and there's something screwed up, right?
Yeah.
And then that's a quick text message to the sales guy. Hey, something screwed up on this part number. Take a look at it.
Yeah.
But other than that, why are you going to dick with it? You stick with what you got, with what's reliable.
Yeah. So the Epicor piece with Pro Jobs. So if you're using Parts Tech or you're using ProLink and you're transferring the parts down to the ticket, we basically now in 3.0, we're basically allowing you to customize these and make them jobs kind of on the fly. Mm-hmm. Right. So you've went and you've transferred your brakes down and you've went and you grabbed your labor, right? And you want to, differentiate what was the front brake job, what was the rear brake job, right? Mm-hmm. Right on the ticket within a few clicks, you just highlight what you want, right click, create a new job, name it whatever you want. it subtotals it all out on the ticket. So
you're able to break it apart, because our current software, for the biggest reason I would hesitate to switch is the layout. So it's really easy to read my tickets, and so if I build a brake job, it's not R&R brake pads and rotors.
Right.
That's not how it's set up. The ticket is called front brake service.
Right.
And then each individual labor that we do, like R&R the brake pads, R&R the rotors, clean and lubricate. Yeah. It's all listed out. They all have separate charges. Then the overall ticket is priced the way it is.
Yes. That's
the way the software company designed it. It's genius in my mind, because all of a sudden the layman sees that and they go, well, okay, that makes sense. Like, it's not water pump R&R, $752. It's like, I'm doing all this work and I'm building value when you spread that all out.
Yeah. Rather
than the typical, some of these older software companies.
Parts labor, one side, one side.
Yeah. Parts labor, one side with a unformatted, grammatically incorrect, unpunctuated, like blob of paragraph on the labor side to say, all this work got done. And, nobody reads that.
I'm glad you say that, because some of these shops, they tell the paragraph story.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's just not my personality, right? I want to see when I'm finishing a transaction, whether it's at, a restaurant, an automotive shop.
Yeah.
Give me in, give me out.
Yeah.
Tell me what you did, tell me what I owe, and let's roll. So what we're doing with jobs is sounds exactly like what you have with your current software, right? So front brake service, all the labor associated with it, all the parts associated with it. Now, on your screen, obviously, you can see the charges, right?
Yeah.
1.2 hours for this, $78 for the brake pads, so forth and so on. But we have options. You can toggle it, turn it on or off. When the customer sees it,
they just see the words.
Front brake service, here's everything included, $787.65.
Which is very cool, yeah.
And then the next job, and then the next job, and the next job.
Yeah, we took all that 1 point. Oh, we took it all.
Yeah. And no part, again, you can
no
put part numbers,
no vendor.
Yeah. It's you can toggle it on and off, and in the settings, you're making that, you're making that global, right? You're just like, okay, when I want to do I'm not going to print prices. I'm not going to print part numbers.
Yeah.
But then if you have that warranty ticket, for instance, let's say that comes
warranty company, yeah.
And they need the part number. You don't have to go to your settings and change it and then remember to come back.
On the invoice?
You just,
really?
Yeah, you just push the button on the invoice.
That's cool. So we have to go into general settings, toggle it on, print the ticket, toggle it back off.
Yeah.
It's such a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So we're learning stuff, This is so
very cool.
And I know we're probably getting here
we're a little bit
over time. So
yeah, very cool.
The last thing I just want to
if you're on Legacy, get off Legacy, call your NAPA rep. They'll switch over to Trax. It should be the same price. You're just going to pay a fee if you want Epicor turned on.
Sure.
Which I think everybody should at least take a look at it and play around with it and see if they even like it. And if they do, it might be a game changer because it sounded like it.
Right.
And then just call your NAPA rep if you're even interested in messing with it.
Yeah. And again, so napatracs.com, all the information is on there. The last thing I do want to plug, I said his name earlier. Ben Dexter is our national training manager.
Mm-hmm.
He's been with us for a while now, but before he ran 2 auto care centers in the Atlanta area using Trax.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, he's one of the smartest guys, definitely within our organization as far as the product goes. But he does 10 live classes every single week.
Wow.
And Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
You guys don't charge extra for training, right?
No.
I heard there was a software company that was charging
Monday, Wednesday,
monthly.
Friday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday is just an open forum.
Oh, wow.
So you just literally just show up and just say, hey, Ben, I want to know the best way to handle returns and track cores in Trax. Okay, well, what version are you using? Well, I'm using Enterprise. Okay, cool. And then of course, he has his scheduled ones as well. So very underutilized by our current existing, members. I mean, I'll even say, in open forum sessions, I mean, we'll even, we'll have obviously prospective customers come on and there might be times where there's 2 people on the call,
mm-hmm.
and you have access as a shop owner to the smartest guy in the NAPA
Yeah.
TRACS,
That's cool, though.
family, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of a sudden it's like, if he doesn't have another meeting, he'll be on there with you for an hour sometimes.
That's awesome.
We had to quit giving his, information out because he was
Getting bombed.
getting bombed, right?
Yeah.
So we direct everyone there. And then for all of our current users, we launched this last year during COVID. It really has kind of taken off this year. Is we have our own internal LMS, learning management system, and that takes you from soup to nuts, right? As an owner, we assign you a role. As a service writer, you can get assigned a role. As a technician, you can get assigned a role. So when you bring new people on, you can sit them down in front of the computer.
Yeah, that's cool.
And say, here's your homework, right? Yeah. And you got to go through, and it won't let you go until you pass the one question. And
that's cool.
Yeah, and move on. And so we try to get people there, and then that's also where we try to get our folks that are transitioning from legacy to enterprise.
Very cool.
Because there's like 3 videos we want you to watch.
Yeah.
Just know what you're getting into, right? Here's what to expect. And once you do those videos, then you're off and running. So
very nice. Awesome.
All right.
That's great.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the ASOG podcast. If you'd like to catch these episodes early, you can do so by becoming a patron. Just go to asog.site and click on the Become a Patron Now button. Becoming a patron helps support the show, gets you several perks, and is tax deductible. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and on YouTube so you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, shoot me an email. My email address is david@asog.site. That's DAVID @ASOG.SITE. Until next time.